I'm Shannon Thresher, and this is 30-Second Tactics. Today we're going to do a part 2 on our earlier video on fixed blade knives for patrol. If you haven't seen part 1, I suggest you go back and watch it. You can stop it now and go watch it, or watch it after this one. They're self-standing, but together they're going to go a lot better. So the first thing I want to talk about that we didn't mention in the first video is securing your knife. And what I mean by that is like securing it against attack or retention, just like you would your firearm. At the time of this tape, now I'm not sure when you're watching it, but at the time I'm making this video, just a couple of weeks ago, there was an incident in a jail where two deputies were transferring an inmate from one cell to another, and like most of us, they had secured their firearms outside of the booking room, but the deputy involved had failed to secure his knife, and it was a pocket knife. In this instance, not a fixed blade knife, but same end result. A scuffle ensued. The inmate was able to get the knife from the deputy, open it, and stab him and actually murder him with it and injure another deputy before people in the booking room were able to get him under control. So obviously that's a big deal. Just like we practice weapon retention with our handguns, and just like we secure our guns before we go in the booking room, you want to think long and hard about securing any pocket knives or fixed blade knives. Now, a pocket knife, it might be just as simple as pull it off the cliff and drop it into the bottom of your pocket so it's not visible, not accessible. And of course, follow whatever your department policies are. If you have a strict policy of no weapons, including knives or anything in the booking room, then follow your policy. It's there for a reason. It'll keep you safe. It'll keep you safe from liability and from danger. But even if your department doesn't require it, I would strongly suggest it. You're taking the time to, put your gun either in your trunk or in your lockbox or wherever you put it before you go in the booking room. Just, take that knife, whether it's a pocket knife or a fixed blade knife, and do that too. All right, so enough on that. The next thing I want to talk about is if you're going to carry a fixed blade knife, like we talked about in the first video, you need to train with it. It's not a magic tool. It's not just stick it there and forget about it for 5 years and hope you're going to be an expert ninja knife guy when you desperately need it. At a minimum, and I'm not a knife fighting expert or anything like that, but at a minimum I would say you need to have it positioned where you can draw it with your non-gun hand. If it becomes a weapon retention issue, they've taken your gun, or you're using your gun hand to keep your gun in the holster because someone is trying to take it and you have to get that knife out. So position it where you can take it out with your non-gun hand, and in a perfect world, also with your gun hand. And then once you do that, practice with it. Now, we practice with guns all the time, and we know about, unloading them safely and everything. We can't really unload a knife. It's going to have that edge on it regardless. And if you're talking about a fixed blade knife, as soon as you take it out of the sheath, it's a cutting tool. It's a deadly instrument. So if you're going to do that, I would suggest a couple things. The first and best would be get a practice knife. Now, practice knives come in all shapes and sizes. They have these, rubber style that are used for, training, simulation, stuff like that. Most major brands out there, this is a Spyderco, will have a training knife. And I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but it's a completely squared off, flat, no edge whatsoever. But it operates just like their regular pocket knife. So if you had a Spyderco, this would be a perfect training tool for it. Here's another one very similar. This is a Benchmade branded one. Again, it's completely flat. There's no edge on it. I'm not saying this is great for, like hands-on force training stuff. I'm talking about like sitting in your living room, standing in the driveway before you go to work, whatever, practicing your own skills with your own weapons. And again, with this, it's basically going to be getting it out of the sheath or pocket, getting it back in, and retaining it if there's assault against you. Also, you can get ones like this, would be more like what we're talking about, a fixed blade knife. This is a copy of the K-bar knife. Some of you have probably seen this, and there's nothing wrong with this one. I didn't feature the K-bar on the first video because I just don't happen to have one, but there's nothing wrong with this style either. Again, like we talked about in the first video, if you imagine that, on your belt, behind your ammo pouch or something, there's just this little part. And again, practice it. Now, if you don't have access to one of these, you're like the rest of us and you're broke and can't afford one more piece of training material, you can use your actual knife. If you do, obviously abundance of caution and care when you're doing that. Wouldn't be a bad idea to get some cardboard, tape up the blade, wrap some duct tape around it, make sure that it's super safe. If you're doing this and it's not cutting, it's probably safe enough to practice with. Again, I'm not trying to make knife experts or ninjas out of you guys. Just if it's a tool you're carrying on your belt, it's a tool or a weapon, you need to be familiar with it. You need to train with it. It doesn't need to be the first time you pull it out under stress is the first time you pulled it out under stress. So, not going to beat that dead horse. That's pretty much what I have for you guys today. As always, if you enjoy these videos, I really appreciate. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. It really helps out the channel. Share these videos. Get down in the comments section. Tell me what you guys want to see in future videos. Spread these videos out. Use them in roll call meetings. Get the word out, guys. All right. Well, as always, work, train, repeat. Stay safe.